All right, let's just jump right into it. Have you ever looked at the world and just wondered, why do good people do bad things? I mean, really bad things. It's probably one of the most unsettling questions out there, right? And today, that's exactly what we're going to unpack using a little social psychology.
You know, it's a question that really haunts you when you look back in history. You think about these massive atrocities, the Nazis, slave owners, and you have to ask, how did they do it? How did they dehumanize other people for so long? But it's not just big historical stuff, right? Think about something smaller, like a schoolyard bully. How can that kid be so unbelievably cruel to someone and then just go home and be a totally normal, even loving person to their family? And here's the crazy part. The very same human race that produces these villains also produces incredible heroes. People like Oskar Schindler, who saved over 1,000 people from the exact same Nazis. So what is going on? What gives? Well, the answers are definitely not simple. But social psychology, it gives us some really powerful tools to start understanding the invisible forces that can push any of us toward either extreme.
Okay, so let's start our investigation. Our very first clue is all about how we judge other people's behavior. I mean, when you see someone do something, do you think it's because of who they are as a person, or is it because of the situation they're in?
And that question brings us straight to something called attribution theory. Back in the 1920s, a psychologist named Fritz Heider basically said, look, we have two ways of explaining why people do what they do. We can either blame it on their personality, what he called their disposition, or, you guessed it, we can blame it on the situation. Okay, let's make this super clear with an example. Imagine you're at a party and you see your friend, let's call him Bruno. He's just standing in the corner, all by himself, not talking to anyone. Your immediate thought, your gut reaction, might be to blame his personality, right? Oh, that's just Bruno. He's such a shy guy. But what if there's more to the story? What if he just twisted his ankle on the way in, or he has a splitting headache? Or maybe, just maybe, he spotted his ex across the room and is trying to avoid an awkward conversation. See, all of those are situational reasons for the exact same shy-looking behavior. And this right here is where we all get into a little bit of trouble. We have this mental glitch, basically. It's called the fundamental attribution error. And what it means is that we are all hardwired to overestimate how much personality matters, and at the same time, underestimate how powerful the situation is. We just jump to that conclusion. Oh, that's just who they are. Way, way too fast.
And believe me, this is not just some dusty old psychological theory. It has huge real-world consequences. It's why a man might totally misread a woman's politeness, which is just her being polite in that situation, as a romantic invitation. It's why our political views get so polarized, why we might blame something like poverty on personal laziness instead of looking at the complex social situations people are in. This one little mental shortcut can completely warp how we see everyone around us.
Okay, so we've established that our judgments of other people can be, well, pretty flawed. But what happens when someone tries to flip the script and deliberately change our attitudes? This brings us to clue number 2. So there are basically two main playbooks for persuading someone. First, you've got the central route. This is all about evidence, facts, and logical arguments. Think of a political candidate laying out their detailed 10-point plan. You listen, you think it through, and you decide. But then there's the peripheral route. This one is way sneakier. It bypasses all that careful thinking and goes straight for your gut. It uses these little cues, like a celebrity endorsement or how attractive the person is. So with this route, you might vote for that same candidate, not because of their policies, but just because they're cute or they seem like a nice person. But here's where it gets really, really interesting. This isn't a one-way street. It's not just that our attitudes shape our actions. It actually works the other way around, too. Our actions can literally change our attitudes. You know that old saying, fake it till you make it? Well, it turns out there is some serious psychological truth to that. And this is often used in a technique called the foot in the door phenomenon. The idea is actually pretty simple. If I can get you to agree to a tiny, easy request first, you're way more likely to agree to a much bigger, more demanding request down the road. It's all about building commitment one tiny step at a time. And this is a perfect illustration of how someone can slowly be pulled to the dark side. I mean, think about Darth Vader. He didn't just wake up one morning and decide to be evil, right? No, he was lured in, step by step. Hey, just do me this one small favor. Then, okay, now run this slightly more questionable errand. And pretty soon he's killing Padawans and, blowing up entire planets. Every single bad action he took made his bad attitude even stronger. It's a spiral. So, this whole idea that our actions can shape our beliefs, it leads us to maybe the most powerful and frankly the most disturbing piece of evidence we have. We're about to look at a case where the situation didn't just influence people, it completely took them over. I'm talking about the famous Stanford Prison Experiment. Back in 1971, psychologist Philip Zimbardo got 24 totally healthy, mentally stable college guys for what was supposed to be a 2-week study on prison life. And here's the key. With just a flip of a coin, he randomly made half of them guards and the other half prisoners. The whole goal was just to sit back and see what happened. And what happened was terrifying. The role-playing became real, almost instantly. On day 1, the guys playing prisoners were actually arrested at their homes by real police cars, taken to the prison, and dehumanized. By day 2, when the prisoners tried to rebel, the guards fought back with cruelty that was just shocking. The whole thing spiraled so fast that by day 3, one of the prisoners had to be released because he was having a complete emotional breakdown. This experiment was supposed to last 2 weeks, 14 days. They had to shut it down after just 6. It had just gotten way too dangerous. The student guards became unbelievably hostile. They were hurling insults, making the prisoners do degrading things, and only calling them by their numbers. And you have to remember, these were just normal college kids. A week before, you couldn't tell them apart from the guys they were now tormenting. The conclusion was just inescapable. The power of the situation can be so overwhelming that it can completely steamroll individual personality. These weren't bad people. They were good people put in a bad situation, and the roles they were playing became their reality. Okay, but hang on a second. Not everyone gives in, right? Even in the worst situations, some people resist. In that very same experiment, some of the guards were way less cruel than others. So what's that about? What is happening inside our own minds when our actions and our beliefs just don't line up? And that question brings us to our final clue, and it's a big one: cognitive dissonance. It's a theory from psychologist Leon Festinger, and the basic idea is that our brains crave consistency. We feel this icky, uncomfortable mental static whenever our actions clash with our beliefs. To put it simply, we absolutely hate feeling like a hypocrite. Let's bring back our friend Bruno to make this easy. So Bruno sees himself as a really peaceful, nonviolent guy. That's his belief. But he just got into an argument and punched his friend. That's his action. See the problem? His action, I just punched someone, is now fighting with his belief, I'm a peaceful person. And that's cognitive dissonance. That's the uncomfortable feeling. So to make that uncomfortable feeling go away, Bruno's brain has to do something. And he's got 2 main paths. Path A, he can change his belief to match his action. He could think, you know what? I guess I'm not such a nice guy after all. Maybe I'm kind of a bully. Or there's path B, which is way more common. He can change how he sees the situation. He can tell himself, well, he was totally asking for it, and it was a crazy situation. I never normally do that. See, that way he gets to keep his belief that he's a good guy who just had a bad moment. All right, so let's put all the pieces together. What have we learned? First, the fundamental attribution error shows us we tend to blame the person, not the situation. Second, things like the foot in the door phenomenon show that our attitudes can be slowly bent and shaped. Third, the Stanford Prison Experiment showed us in the most dramatic way possible that a powerful situation can literally take over our personalities. And finally, cognitive dissonance shows us that we'll actually change our own beliefs just to justify our actions and feel consistent. And here's the kicker. All of these forces, they're working on us, on you and me all the time, usually under the radar. So when you get right down to it, the really important question isn't about why other people do bad things. It's about us. Now that you understand how powerful these forces are, who are you going to be when the situation changes?